Hello. Today I will be investigating the myth the Puritans were somewhat tyrannical and forbidding a type of fun in their society. And basically what this myth kind of goes over is that these Puritans lived very bland and boring lives due to the way the society was governed. And I will be talking about whether or not it was busted, if it was actually correct or maybe even plausible. And so there's many misconstrued facts that go along with history, and one such example that we might look at is the buckle hats. Additionally, you're wrong. They clearly did wear buckle hats. How dare you? Well, if you let me explain. Historically, they did not wear buckle hats. In fact, we have proof that they did, or I guess counter evidence the idea that we do not have any proof that they actually did. Throughout all of history, we have no first-hand account evidence that they actually wore buckle hats. Historically speaking, we do have lots of evidence saying that they would sport very colorful clothing, and this includes hats as well. And I personally, that's much more fun than something along the lines of a buckle hat. What, you think tradition is boring? Do you know how many good things come from traditions such as like the 4th of July or Thanksgiving? I mean, true enough. I mean, I guess that explains the drunks at least. What are you trying to say about how modern society does things? You're insulting a large amount of people by calling them drunks, you know. I'm not talking about modern events. I'm talking about the early colonists. They often would drink heavily and actually rely on beer as their main drink of choice. I mean, even over water. It's only logical seeing how the water was contaminated at the time, and they didn't really have a good way of purifying it, so it could and would lead to a lot of diseases. Oh, really now? Okay, that's great news. I mean, at least that justifies my drinking issue now. I mean, it's not addiction or anything. No, it really doesn't. I mean, if this over-excess of drinking from the early colonists justifies anything, it would justify partying. I mean, in addition to drinking and sporting colorful clothing, the colonists would often hold several parties or events on a large scale. For example, harvest festivals was a very big one, and it was very popular. Well, it should. But in any case, I'll let you pass for now, but just wait until my blog post. Thank you. As I was saying, there's evidence for many colonists sporting colorful clothing, such as a blue similar to jeans. Lucky this is the one type of pants I do own, or else I have no visual example. But in the time period I think about and the common misconceptions, they're wearing very bland, like tan or gray clothing, or some browns, and that's not very fun. But these people were sporting very bright colors like purples and blues and maybe some pinks, so you can really tell that they were very fun people. I mean, anyone who's wearing like this kind of blue has to be a fun person. They also drink beer off to the fact that there was a terrible disease known as bloody flux that would happen. The modern name of it is dysentery, which had a pretty high mortality rate. However, during the process of making beer, these diseases no longer pose a present issue. Festivals and other such parties were celebrated for the fun of it, usually for a good reason, like a harvest that was good this season, or country dancing, dinner parties, even wedding receptions. And although we don't talk about it much, they also did some rather interesting acts that would involve a male and a female. Now, of course, this is all within the confines of marriage, so it wasn't like they were doing it with anyone, but I mean, they did have recreational sex, and it's not something we talk about much, but it was fine because, for the most part, all these were into the borders of what their religion was, because really the way they governed themselves was based on religion, and if the religion said that this was fine, they would do it. And so they were free in the sense that a lot of their laws were based on religion, so they could do a lot of things and had a little bit more freedom maybe even than these colonists that we think about that are very strict. So things like recreational sex, dancing is actually in the Bible in some sense, so they had that too. And, you know, parties and drinking, and these were all forms of enjoyment that they had. So it's not like they didn't have fun at all. I mean, they obviously did things that other places wouldn't do. So I'd say that this myth is busted because, I mean, you can interpret this as not having fun, but I mean, drinking, wearing colorful clothing, all these things, I didn't classify as something that they would consider fun.